Alright, so it's December 9th today, doing a little update on these brassicas. We're right in the middle of the stupid 4-day doe hunt here in Wisconsin, so I'm wearing orange out here today. This plot was my first brassica plot I planted this year. I forgot the date, I'll put it up. It was pretty early to plant brassicas, but I got so many plots, that's when I had to get it in. I sprayed all this grass off. There was a couple clusters of honeysuckle out here in the spring that I cut out, so there's a few stumps out here. We sprayed all this off, and we tried drilling in some soybeans here. They didn't come up that good because this thatch layer was super thick. So when I came back in July sometime, disked it all up, put a first-year brassica plot in, and it came in super good, almost too thick. You can see all these turnips. This whole plot was like knee to waist high. Thankfully, we only got a couple weeds that came in, because usually when you till plots, you end up with usually more weeds. But this being a first-year plot, there was just a couple velvet weeds and a little bit of grasses, but nothing really to worry about. These tillage radish were planted super early. You can see it's all rotted out, and these got super tall and kind of went out to seed, like that one right there. A lot of them are knocked over and starting to rot already, these tillage radish. Usually they don't, like right here's a couple that didn't, well, I guess these went out to seed as well. You can see how that's just rotted and mushy. Or these turnips, they're really hard yet. So these will, I mean, it's like 50 degrees out today. This is about as soft as what they'll get. So when it starts to freeze more, they're just gonna get even harder, and they're gonna just last all the way. Usually those turnips last all the way till like February, March before they start to get soft. But you can see these deer have been nipping on these tillage radish all the way back, you know, since September. We got soybeans up there, soybeans across the road. There was a whole bunch of soybeans planted in this area this year. And I came in here in September, and they were already starting to eat on the tillage radish a little bit, which is pretty amazing considering all that green browse that was everywhere. And then we got some forage rape and kale in here. Still got some leaves on them for them. But like right now, the main thing they're eating on here is these green forage rape and kale leaves. And I saw a couple turnips that they started munching on. I mean, look at this is too thick. You should not have these turnips literally touching, but thankfully this being a first-year plot had plenty of nutrients to be able to sustain being planted this thick, that it actually did okay. I mean, there's just, you know, tennis ball and baseball and softball sized turnips everywhere throughout this plot. A few golf ball sized ones, a little smaller where it's thicker. Right here's a couple. I saw a couple up on that end too. Let's see if I can find some more, but they're just starting on some of these turnips. Last year I had a little brassica plot down there in the hollow, a couple hundred yards that way, and I had some brassicas and turnips, and they pretty much ate up everything in there. That was not even this big. And here's some more of that tillage radish that's pretty much rotted. But you can see they got almost all these leaves. I mean, some of these might have broken off right here, but they were definitely munching on these tillage radishes pretty good. You can see they've been munching on this radish right here. They didn't quite finish it off. But pretty much all these radishes are missing their tops. So that means they just got completely devoured. So I'm gonna do another update of this same plot in about a month. So by that time they should be hammering all these turnips really good. Hopefully we'll have some snow and we'll be able to see all the deer tracks. It just rained a good ½ inch, almost an inch last night. That's why everything's wet and not really many tracks out here to really see. Yeah, there's some really massive turnips in here. Not the biggest turnips I've ever grown, but that's about as good as they get. You can see this is a lot thinner section of the plot here. That's why these, you know, turnips got bigger right here. Right here's a forage rape plant that's just completely annihilated. Half the leaves, if not more than half, are already gone. And they'll continue to munch on these all the way down to the ground throughout the winter as it gets more severe and colder. Usually these forage rape and kale plants, all that will be left in the spring is like that and below. They won't eat this really hard stuff, but they'll continue to eat all this softer stuff all the way to here. So pretty crazy. There's still a lot of tonnage out here for these deer, and this tiny little, I mean, this is nothing. This is like 1/8 of an acre, maybe 1/6 of an acre. This tiny little plot is just providing a ton of food for these deer. And these food plots don't really pay off a whole lot until around the gun season, like late November, and then on like September, October, you get minimal use from does and stuff. Obviously during the rut, it's not really going to make a big difference. But yeah, from basically the end of the rut, all of December and throughout the whole winter, this is when the food plots really start to pay off. So yeah, I'll see you in a month, I guess. All right, so quite a change from last time I've been out here. We got literally 18 inches of snow. Certain areas it's almost knee deep. But you can see it's not really affecting these deer from pawing around at all. You can see these are some pretty big brassicas in here last time I was here. And I mean, I'm sure 90% of them are covered up still, but the ones they have dug up are just munched right down to the stems here. And they're still working on some of these turnips. Even considering how much snow we have, they're still trying to dig these up. Once this snow melts off, they'll be able to eat the rest of the stuff that's still here. Because I've had you know, really deep snows like this cover up brassicas, and then once the snow melts off in March, there's still green leaves on these brassica plants. It's just amazing. Pretty crazy. It's just a ton of snow. I mean, this is probably only about 3 nights of pawing around. Some of this, we had a good 6 to 8 inch snowfall, and then a day of nothing, and then another good 8 to 10 inches of snow, and then the next night we had like 1 to 3 inches. So most of this is all from the last 3 days of pawing around. There's probably just a ton of deer in here that just hear me talking right now, but as long as I don't go in there, I shouldn't really spook them too bad. Just absolutely crazy. It's really hard to even, it doesn't even look like there's much in here, but there's got to be some left underneath the snow here for them once this stuff melts off. Look how fresh that looks. Everything's just completely froze. It's like -3 out right now. It's just amazing. That's the only thing bad about brassicas. If you got brassicas and your neighbor has corn or soybeans during this time, they're gonna definitely choose the grain. It's gonna be sticking up out of the snow. I mean, they'll hit your brassicas a little bit, but thankfully there's no other big food plots nearby any of the neighbors around here. So these deer have kind of huddled up in here, and this brassica plot's holding them pretty good. We got a little bit of, probably a 1/4 acre soybean plot up by the house up there. So I haven't been up there yet. I'm thinking about setting up a camera over there too. I'm sure there's just tons of tracks up there too, but I'm sure those soybeans will be gone pretty quick because over half of the bean plants covered up right now, so they can only really get at 50% of them too. So this is the trail camera I have that's closest to this plot. You can see the food plot off in the background. This is a shedded buck in mid-December right here. I was flipping back through pictures. I couldn't really recognize which buck it was if I had pictures of him prior. And you can see how skinny he looks. Ribs are showing. I don't know if this buck's going to make it or not. But you can see in the couple sequence of pictures here, he's held this one side for at least a week and a half since the first pictures I had of him. These are some of the other nice up-and-comer bucks there, 2- and 3-year-olds. And And there was lots of daylight doe pictures like this. This is just the one I saved of does walking by. Quite a few, actually. Not too many bucks in daylight, but quite a few doe pictures. And you can see all the does in the background there. This is a nice young buck right there. Here he is on the second, still holding. And here comes the snow. Here's that nice young 10-pointer. So yeah, thanks for watching.